We're in PS menu group directive, and we want to take a look at the link function. Let's add the ability to open and close this group item. The first thing we'll need is a flag called isOpen on scope, and that'll default to false. So everything will be closed at the start. And we're going to need a function on this as well called close menu. And this will close the submenu that belongs to this group. And that can be done easily by setting scope.isOpen equal to false. So how does the menu get open in the first place? Well, there's going to need to be a click event. And when this item is clicked, we just want to set the isOpen flag to its opposite. So if it's closed, it'll open, and if it's opened, it'll be closed. So we have to make sure that this scope.clicked gets called. Let's take a look at the template. And on our list item, we'll just add Angular's ng click directive. And we called that clicked. Now another thing that we need to do inside this template is to only show our transcluded menu if the flag is true. So we'll use the ng show directive and we'll set it to isOpen. So that'll be looking at the isOpen flag off of our scope. Let's run this and see what we get. So we have our selectable items and then equipment, which I just clicked on and it opened up the items. If I click on it again, it hides the items. So our opening and closing is working fine. The items within that list get selected. That's good. So the next thing I want to do is add a little indicator here to the right that shows whether equipment is open or closed. Now we have this div that has our icon and label, and we can just add it right within here. So we have our I tag, and we'll set the Font Awesome icon to Font Awesome chevron left. And that's the default closed position, where the arrow will point to the left. And I also added a new class called PS Group Indicator Left. Let's add that to our CSS file. We want to float this to the right. That way it'll stay on the right side of the menu. Let's add a light gray color, and I'll set a few margins. Given the icon that we're using, a margin right of 2 pixels and a margin top of 15 pixels, put it in the right position. So let's see what we get now. We get our indicator pointing to the left, showing that it's closed. And that looks good. I'll click on it. And the icon still shows up, but we'd like to rotate it so that it's facing down. And luckily, Font Awesome has a class to handle that for us. If we go back to the template, we can use Angular's ng class directive. And I'll re-indent this to make more room. And what ng class will do is it will add a class to this element based upon an expression. If it evaluates to true, the class will be added. So the class we want to add is Font Awesome FA, rotate, and if we could rotate counterclockwise, it would be 90 degrees, but the rotation is clockwise, so that would be 270 degrees. And we only want to show this class if isOpen is true. And you remember isOpen is the same flag that we're using down here to show the open menu. So I'll save this and let's take a look at this now. I'll open up equipment and the arrow points down as it opens up. I'll click it again and the arrow points to the left to show that it's closed. So that's working well. The next thing I want to do is stylize these sub-items. They need to be indented to the right a little bit to show that they belong to equipment. So in order to indent that submenu, first of all, our submenu is embedded within this div here. So let's add a class to the div, and we'll call it PS sub-item section. So this is the section of the menu that contains sub-items, which are transcluded right here. So I'll copy this CSS selector, and I'll add it at the bottom of our PS menu.css file. And in order to indent it to the right, we can just add a little bit of padding to the left. So I'll add 16 pixels. Let's see how this looks. I'll open up equipment, and everything is indented, looks good. And I'll click equipment again, and it closes up. So everything's working well. In the next video, we'll take a look at adding even more submenus.